Hello, and welcome to the 7th episode of our Exodus series. Attention, please! Attention! We are about to start our story. Thank you. Now I've got your attention. I can tell you what this is. It's a megaphone. A megaphone is a kind of microphone used to grab people's attention and get them to listen to you. Megaphones are especially useful to warn people about danger. The events of today's story are a bit like a megaphone. What happened should grab our attention. It certainly got Pharaoh's attention. Remember where we are in the story of Exodus. Moses went to Pharaoh and said, "This is what Yahweh says, 'Let my people go.' Pharaoh replied, 'Who is Yahweh, that I should obey him and let his people go? I do not know Yahweh, and I will not let his people go.' Instead of letting God's people go, Pharaoh made the Israelites work harder and harder. Sadly, Moses and the Israelites almost gave up. But Yahweh had not finished yet. Yahweh is about to show Pharaoh and the Israelites what he is like. It's like Yahweh is about to use a megaphone to grab the attention of the whole world. Yahweh is about to show everyone what he is like. He does it by sending 10 plagues against Pharaoh and the Egyptians. You could put it like this. The plagues are God's megaphone to the world. I am Yahweh. There is no one greater than Yahweh. Listen to how the first plague began. This is what God says to Moses. I'm going to read from Exodus chapter 7, verses 15 to 18. Go to Pharaoh in the morning as he goes out to the river. Confront him on the bank of the Nile, and take in your hand the staff that was changed into a snake. Then say to him, Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me to you. Let my people go, so that they may worship me in the wilderness. But until now you have not listened. This is what Yahweh says. By this you will know that I am Yahweh. With the staff that is in my hand, I will strike the water of the Nile, and it will be changed into blood. The fish in the Nile will die, and the river will stink. The Egyptians will not be able to drink its water." And that's exactly what happened. The river Nile turned to blood. But Pharaoh would not let God's people go. So God spoke to Moses again. I'm going to read from Exodus chapter 8, verses 1 to 4. This is what Yahweh says. Let my people go, so that they may worship me. If you refuse to let them go, I will send a plague of frogs on your whole country. The Nile will teem with frogs. They will come up into your palace and your bedroom and onto your bed, into the houses of your officials and on your people, and into your ovens and kneading troughs. The frogs will come up on you and your people and all your officials. And that's exactly what happened. Frogs went everywhere. But Pharaoh would not let God's people go. So God spoke to Moses again. This is Exodus chapter 8, verse 16. Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike the dust of the ground, and throughout the land of Egypt the dust will become gnats." And that's exactly what happened. Gnats were everywhere. But still Pharaoh would not let God's people go. That's 3 plagues already. I think Yahweh has got the attention of the Egyptians now. Now they know that Yahweh is far more powerful and far greater than any of their made-up gods. Then Yahweh sends 3 more plagues, one after the other. But these plagues are different. The first 3 plagues affected everyone in Egypt, including the Israelites. Now Yahweh makes it so that the plagues do not affect the Israelites. The places in Egypt where the Israelites lived didn't get any more plagues. In the next plague, Yahweh sent flies. millions of them. Swarms of flies went through Pharaoh's palace and all over Egypt, everywhere except where the Israelites lived. But Pharaoh still would not let the Israelites go. Next, Yahweh sent a plague on the Egyptians' livestock. Donkeys, camels, cows, sheep, and goats would all die. Many animals belonging to the Egyptians died in this plague, but no animal belonging to the Israelites died at all. Still, Pharaoh would not let God's people go. Then Yahweh sent a plague that made all the Egyptians have boils on their body. Boils are like itchy lumps that come out on your skin. Still, Pharaoh would not let God's people go. I think Yahweh has definitely got the attention of the Egyptians now. Not only do they know that Yahweh is real and very powerful, now they know that he is against them and fighting for his own people, the Israelites. Then Yahweh sends 3 more plagues. A massive hailstorm, stronger than anyone had seen before. A swarm of locusts that ate up all the Egyptian crops. Then darkness came. It was dark in Egypt for 3 whole days. It was so dark, it was like you could feel the darkness. But these plagues didn't come to where the Israelites lived. Still, even after all these 9 terrible plagues, Pharaoh would not let God's people go. There was still 1 more plague to come, but we will hear about that one next week. The first 9 plagues are God's megaphone to the world. They show us how powerful and awesome Yahweh is. They show us all the things that Yahweh has control over. Yahweh has control over animals, weather, disease, death, and even light and darkness. There is no one greater than Yahweh. But that's not what Pharaoh thought. Do you remember, before any of the plagues came, Pharaoh asked Moses a question. Pharaoh's question sounded mean and full of boasting. Who is Yahweh that I should obey him and let Israel go? Who is Yahweh? Pharaoh didn't care. It didn't matter to him at all. I don't think he even wanted an answer. But Pharaoh has got the answer to his question now. It's like God answered him using the plagues as a megaphone. I am Yahweh. There is no one greater than Yahweh. Look what happens if you oppose me. With the plagues, Yahweh has shown the world who he is. Yahweh has shown the world what he is like. He is great and powerful and awesome. There is no one greater than Yahweh. You do not want to be on the wrong side of Yahweh. If you are one of his enemies, you will get crushed in the end. Again and again, the plagues showed Pharaoh and the Egyptians whose side they should be on. If they are against Yahweh, if they are his enemies, then he will destroy them. They need to know this. But that's only part of the answer to who is Yahweh. Not only does Yahweh destroy his enemies, he also keeps his people safe from his judgment. From the plague of flies right up to the plague of darkness, the Israelites were protected. They were safe. The plagues did not affect them. Yahweh keeps his people safe from judgment. Yahweh is still the same today. There is no one greater than Yahweh. Some people say it's difficult to know what God is like. We can't see him, we can't meet him face to face. But it's not difficult to know Yahweh. He has shown us what he is like right here in Exodus. The plagues are God's megaphone to the world. I am Yahweh. Look at what I can do. There is no one greater than me. You might have friends at school who don't know Yahweh, or neighbors down your street who don't know Yahweh, or maybe even members of your family who don't know Yahweh. Well, they can. He shows us what he is like right here in Exodus. He shows us that there is no one greater than him, no one greater than Yahweh. If we are against him, then we will be destroyed. If we are on his side, he will keep us safe. Let's praise Yahweh for how great he is. Next time, we will learn about the 10th plague in Egypt. See you then.